What's up, guys? It is your girl, Sarah from Sarah's House here. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I have Kristinia from KittenBBoutique on. She is, let me read it. I don't want to mess it up, so let me read it. Is a corporate finance executive with a bachelor's degree in finance and an MBA. She is data and analysis driven. It's the end of the day, y'all. I almost had like a wine spritzer with dinner and I was like, nope, I have a live tonight. I can't usually do my words right. Anyway, I don't need any wine to go with it. She is data and analysis driven in both her day job and reselling and follows trends in the retail industry. She is a reseller on Poshmark, Mercari, and Deephop. So I am so excited to have her here. We did a presentation together for the Posh Kings synopsis that they had a couple months ago. A week, I don't know. I don't even know what day it is. A month ago, maybe it was.
May, yeah.
Yeah. So we did a presentation together. There are lots of really good information. So I asked her to come on here and chat with us. We're gonna, talk a little bit about the economy, but what's happening with retail right now. Some big announcements have happened that may impact reselling and all of that. So, Kristinia, I'm going to let you introduce. I mean, I gave you kind of the high level of who you are, but tell us a little bit about your reselling. It's a side hustle for you, right? Because now you're trying to get back into the workforce, but it's not your full-time job, right?
No. I've been a reseller since 2014. Started on Poshmark with just kind of looking for a place to clean out my closet. And make some money selling as opposed to donating. And then I've expanded to Mercari and Deephop. I did do Vinted for a while, but they changed a lot of what they were doing. I've not done eBay, but my husband has. It's been great. At first I was mostly just selling to buy. So instead of spending money in the stores, I was purchasing off of Poshmark, and so it was in a sense saving me money versus making me money. But lately I've been putting a little more into it to actually cash those credits out as opposed to using them, and it's been good. I enjoy it. It's a kind of a creative outlet as well for a lot of people. So it's been wonderful.
And it is a really nice side hustle because you get you can kind of do it as needed, especially on Poshmark and Mercari. I'm finding eBay, you have to it has to be a full-time job to actually get the kickback. But Poshmark, you can be like, cool, I'm not busy this week. I'm going to do things. This week, I'm not so busy. I'm not going to be on my closet as much. It's a nice, it's not like a part-time job where you're like, okay, I have to go to work from, 6 until 9 o'clock at night. You can kind of do it as needed. I think a lot of people are doing that as well, especially right now. On that note, right now, the last one I looked at was like 36 million people are currently unemployed. 3 million are waiting to get, I don't know the right term, waiting to get unemployed, or they predict. I think what I read was they were predicting 3 million more. So what is your take on the state of the economy right now, just in general?
I think there's some positive signs. So another statistic I saw was that in April, 3.6 million households missed their mortgage payments. So, there's not a lot of discretionary spending, I would say. People have been more focused, as we had mentioned at the symposium, on home goods and electronics and things, obviously with the quarantine, but I think also focusing on home improvements and other things since they've been around the house, as opposed to, luxury goods have been way down. And then there are some positives though. Airbnb has a lot of bookings. They're really seeing a spike. They think it might be like a check mark.
Oh, really?
Recovery, which is some are predicting. And then also, the cruise lines have had a lot of sales because they need cash. And so they've had a lot of pre-bookings as well. And I think the airlines have also had a lot of pre-bookings. So I think people are very travel focused. They're wanting to get out, and, that's an opportunity there from reselling and thinking about, what you're putting in your closet, as well as once the quarantines are lifted. I think a lot of people are going to be traveling. So
and wanting, I think people are ready. So we're in Colorado. We're pretty lifted. We have restaurants are only 50%, but I think most, if not all, things are opened. Remind me, are you in Phoenix? Am I making that up?
Tennessee. I'm in Tennessee.
Oh,
so,
yeah, I completely made that up. Sorry. Not even close.
Most of Tennessee has been, I think they're in phase 2, where I'm at in Nashville, and then Memphis and Knoxville have been slower because that's where the majority of the cases were. But we've moved on to now in Davidson County. I think hairdressers are able to open this week, and restaurants, the bar tops, I think, are starting to open, and the counties outside of here, but they're still closed in Davidson. I don't know. It's confusing because I'm surrounded by other counties, and I just go there because it's like normal life. And
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that in other places. Like if someone's a state is open and theirs isn't, there, like, which then it's just making it worse because people are crossing over state borders, and that's a whole nother.
Well, I was this weekend, so Florida is wide open. It was,
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
restaurants, there was a wait because they were at a diminished capacity, but all the beaches, and I mean, it was just like normal. It didn't seem like anyone was quarantined at all. So
Yeah, no masks or anything because they're outside, or
no, actually, very few people had masks on. Servers had masks on, but
I guess when you're eating, it's kind of hard.
yeah, yeah. As far as the beaches and restaurants and stores, I saw very few masks.
That's interesting. Our governor came out this week and was really encouraging people to be outdoors because I live in Colorado. It's a beautiful state, lots of, hiking and outdoor activities. And I think from a mental health standpoint, he was like, go outside. It's your lowest risk. Get out, before fall and winter comes, and we're all stuck indoors, either with COVID or just in general. We're stuck indoors. Enjoy it, but be safe. A lot of the people around here are wearing masks outside, and so taking on a lot of precautions. That's not the point of this.
Yeah.
Although, so,
Yeah.
but I am wondering, I mean, because of all of this, and I'm wondering, I had a really good May. And even with, everything that's going in the economy, stores are closed down. So I'm wondering if that is pushing people to be purchasing online. And I don't sell hard goods. I sell clothing, women's mainly. And I had a really good May. And so my data alone, I don't know, is enough, sample size one, but I'm wondering if what your thoughts are on e-commerce in general.
Yeah,
And what you've seen.
I think they said that from what I've seen, there's been a huge shift to online sales. I think they said it's between 40 and 60% of all sales are online now, and they anticipate that to continue to grow. One of the things I saw was that retailers really need to look at an omni-channel experience or multi-channel, which is obviously online and in store, and they need to figure out a way to bridge the gap. And I think that some of the resale sites like Poshmark with the social aspect do a good job of that, because there's a lot of customer service and providing measurements and different things that people do to kind of bridge that. Oh, I can't try it on, but help me. How does this fit, or would this look right with that? You get a lot of questions from your buyers.
Yeah, we're already ready for that experience. Yeah.
So I think that's really important. And then I know that retailers are looking towards needing to have their inventory into their distribution by October, November-ish for Black Friday. And so I think there is a push on orders because they do expect online sales to continue to be at a high. So they're going to have them go to their distribution versus being in stores. So it may be one of those situations where there's better availability online this year than there has been in the past with the stores, just because of the supply chain issues and,
yeah. And
long.
Well, yeah, and the typical Black Friday standing in line in crazy stores likely is not going to be the situation this year.
Yeah.
But so that makes me wonder, I mean, is it a good or bad thing that this is all happening? Having more online sales is a good thing, but then the more you talked, I was like, well, maybe that's actually a bad thing if these big chains are getting online more. Like people are just going to be like, okay, I'm going to go shop at whatever instead of the secondhand store.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think again, it's going to be a wait and see. I mean, when the UK lifted their quarantine, sales really surged once the lockdown was lifted for clothing sales, and so I think you might see a jump for you know, brick and mortar sales because people want to get out and they've kind of missed the browsing and walking around. But I think there's been so many customers that have been picked up by an Amazon or a Walmart in their online that, I mean, even it just came to mind. TJ Maxx was completely overwhelmed when they opened their doors too here recently. But I think there's been such a shift to online. I think people are going to like it. So maybe, let's say, you know, maybe not clothing per se, but continuing on the household goods. So for example, maybe you didn't buy your laundry detergent from Amazon before the shutdown, but then during the shutdown you had to. Well, now you think, wow, this is really convenient. I think I'm going to keep buying my laundry detergent online.
Yeah, and if you did it on Amazon, they're smart and they will send you an email and say, hey, it looks like it's about time. Or if you have an Alexa, they're like, hey, do you want to reorder? And you're like, well, yes, I think I do. They're on it. Amazon, we all need to take notes from Amazon. If people have specific questions in the chat as well, let us know. Let me know what you guys are seeing as well. How was your May? My May was like the best I've ever had. I was also a lot more consistent. So, you know, some of it was probably partially that, but talking to a lot of people, I'm hearing that it was good. And I think people are shopping online. They're getting more used to that feeling. I read somewhere too, I think it was Poshmark or maybe it's Macari. One of the sellers, their new customers is like skyrocketing. Which is good for resellers. It's really good because they don't know how to do offers. They don't know how, you know what I mean? Like, and I had quite a few in my Poshmark closet this past month that were like, I don't know how to do this. Can you like walk me through? Like, am I doing it right? And you can obviously tell that they're new customers. And I think if they realize if you make it a good experience, right, then maybe they will come back.
Yeah.
So I think it's hopeful. We'll have to wait and see. What else are you noticing in the retail market?
Yeah, so I actually found a white paper that KPMG, which is a consulting, they also do accounting and such, but a consulting group had put together a white paper on trends that they see going forward in retail in 2020. And I thought they were really interesting because they really pertain to resellers as well. So the first one we just mentioned, the retail business model, is the push to online. And the comment that they had was that you need to be good at online fulfillment, home delivery, and data analytics. And I thought that was funny because, you know, we talk as resellers about speed to ship, what is your packaging, you know, these are things we really think about and wanting to make a good customer experience. So good at online fulfillment right there. Home delivery, maybe not so much, but then data analytics, you know, we talked about that in the symposium, and you know, you saw that great dashboard. We mentioned that with the pandemic, you need to look at your data more often because trends are going to be changing faster than they probably have in the past. So I thought that really tied together, is just really thinking about your business model.
Yeah, and I think that's a valid point, and probably partially why my May was better as well, because I normally sold high price items, but looking at my data and seeing what was going on, and I did a high level analysis as well, and sale prices were going down, and I usually don't sell lower price items. I quickly was like, let me find some low sale price items, and my average sale price definitely went down by like $12, which is pretty big. But I ended up, what's that?
If you pick it up in volume, it's okay.
Yes, right. I had my highest grossing sale, but had I not been paying attention to what was going on and looking at my data and seeing that, it wouldn't, like, I wouldn't have made that adjustment, which is a nice thing. It's something that we have over kind of these big businesses, is it's much easier for us to pivot. But you have to pay attention. So if y'all are watching me, you know, I'm going to say it, look at your data, see what's going on, and look at the economy and what's going on, which is why I have Kristinia here as well to update us on what's happening.
Yeah, so the second one was sense of purpose. And so reflecting values and caring about societal issues. So I think, you know, just reselling as a whole and how what much of a polluter the fashion industry is, and extending that life cycle of clothing items is something that really ties into that. And then, you know, you see a lot of resellers, you know, will have a cause or something that they donate to. And, you know, I think we have a role a good tie-in with that one already, and if something that we could, potentially push even more. I know that Deephop, the last time I spoke, I said they had a huge year-over-year increase in their traffic, and it's being driven by Gen Z, and Gen Z and millennials are obviously very concerned about sustainability. So that's a good tie-in there for resellers.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, I mean, even before all of this, there's been big projections for reselling in general. In the past year or two, there's been big companies previously that have said, okay, this is what the younger generations are wanting. We need to figure out how to get our foot in the door. They don't want this, quick fashion. They want the sustainability. And either it's really high price items that are going to last for a long time, or are, made in a certain way, or this, the business we're all in, of this reselling stuff. So
the next one is rethink cost of doing business. So need to go further on cost containment, including inventory management. And that ties really well with what you just said about resellers being able to be more agile and to pivot. And I think we talked about, online sourcing and different things at the symposium as well. And so, just really thinking about your cost of goods, and retailers are going to be doing the same. So I think they're looking towards continued price compression just across the board with the unemployment numbers, and potential new sense of frugality coming through, similar to the former recession.
yeah, and that's something I've looked at in my business, and it's kind of a struggle. So I'd like your thoughts on it as well, and then I'm going to ask the chat on what they're doing for it. The struggle that I'm having is prices. Things are selling for lower, but I'm typically having to spend more money on items because the stores are not open. I'm sourcing on, like, my sourcing is different now. So now my margins are decreasing because I'm selling for less and spending more. So I'd love any tips and tricks or thoughts that people have. It's hard. Our thrift stores are open. I'm going to try and go this weekend. But when I've been in the past, it's not what it used to be. They're not putting as much out. Some of the stores are hiking their prices up because they're making up for stuff.
Yeah, my Goodwills are no longer doing any sales, so everything is regular price. I think they do have a senior discount, but that's about the only one. They're revamping their rewards program. And the bins, they didn't they're open now. You have to have a mask to go. I have not gone, but they were closed longer than the retail stores. I've had a challenge, I guess, just with, I used to be able to get 99-cent items. I used to have a 99-cent sale for the full week at Goodwill. Now it's only at the end of the color of the week. And so I really was already having a challenge with increased cost. I just am not someone who really likes the bins. I haven't had a lot of success with things that I found there. And I got sick long before COVID from going to the bins. So my costs have been higher. So I've kind of taken a different approach in that, especially with working full time. I'm looking more towards average sale price as opposed to a margin. I think in the past I was more focused on, okay, if I buy this for $5 and I want to get a 75% margin, am I able to get, whatever for it? And now I'm thinking more of, it's not worth my time to even photograph and list if I don't get a certain dollar amount and from it. So I'm being much more selective with what I'm purchasing. I've actually gone through and donated a lot of the older inventory I had that I hadn't listed, just because I know it's not going to, satisfy what I need. But I think a lot of people are struggling with, just the cost of inventory right now.
That's kind of where, that's my typical strategy, is like, I'm gonna make this amount of money, like it or more, like I'll take or more, but like if I don't make this dollar amount, like, because I know how long it takes me to list things, I know how long it takes me to take pictures, like I've calculated how much it is worth my time. I'm actually going away from that a little bit, in the sense of driving velocity to my closet, and then trying to find efficiencies in other ways. So like I model a lot of my clothes, but unless it's going to sell for $50 or higher, I'm not modeling it now. So then I can take a picture quicker. I can go through and list double the inventory because I'm making half of the amount. So that's kind of my strategy. And also, you gotta just do what you gotta like.
Yeah.
I'm selling lower price items right now, because it is what's selling,
Mhm.
but I am being very diligent in what I'm purchasing because it's money that's being tied up. You know, looking at what categories of mine have high sell-through rates. Those are the categories that I'm purchasing right now. Not kind of just this willy-nilly, oh, this is cute. Like, no, is this going to sell and make me with that money? I don't want to play this long game so much. And kind of just keeping the cash flow going right now until things settle down.
Yeah.
All right, what else you got for us, girl?
The last one is this one was I thought was really interesting. It's customer choice is under a microscope. This was their last bullet, and so they're basically saying with online endless browsing that customer preferences are changing. And so there's only going to be two types of retailers online that, or even, I guess, brick and mortar that survive. And that's a limited yet curated collection or selection, or an unlimited selection, which is easy. And they want an easy, safe, and efficient experience for shopping. So I thought that was interesting because we just kind of described the two closets, right?
Yeah.
Mine
Yes.
is probably
Yep.
more on the limited yet curated because I'm only looking to sell for a certain dollar amount and is it worth my time? And you're doing more volume and you know, mass appeal as far as the selection. So I think those are the two spot on with where they said the future is going on retail.
Yeah, and I talk about that. I mean, you can have a hybrid model too, but that's essentially
Yeah.
your two options. You sell high price items and they're going to sit a little bit longer, but you're going to make higher volume or higher dollar amounts, or you sell, you know, the lower price items that are going to sell a bit quicker. And I have changed. I prefer the high average sale price items because it's less shipping, it's less listing. But I was noticing that that was not cutting it for me. So now I'm trying to find ways to be more efficient. I love to hear what people are doing, if they're noticing similar things or ways that they're combating this in their closets as well. The thing with doing high volume too, we're talking about, this is me and my husband's dinner talk. Right before this conversation, or right before this, we had dinner, and we were actually talking about the two different models and how I'm switching a little bit more. But to be a high volume seller, you have to have a high volume closet. Like you have to, like just what you said in the white paper, you have to have unlimited. I mean, I can't have unlimited, but I need to like double my closet to be able
Yeah.
to hit.
Yeah. The sizing and you know, my closet, because I sell mostly my own things, I like to keep it as a small size closet. So I know I'm already limiting my sales space because it's you know, my things and my size. So you know, I think also being someone who's got an unlimited selection, you have to have a variety of sizes, and I just don't have the storage or you know, it's just
Yeah.
not something I'm interested in.
Yeah, and the storage is a valid point too. I had always gone to a smaller closet from a storage perspective. We did recently move, and worst case scenario, I can rent a storage space.
Yeah.
That's where my mindset is now. In 6 months, check back in and we'll see what's happening then.
Yeah.
All right, so we are saying that is a great report from Kristinia. I went sourcing today. Oh, let me put this up. I learned how to do this. I went sourcing today and in the end put everything back because I'm getting very narrowly focused. It's hard to do. It's harder to do than it sounds. This is interesting because you guys are both doing that, and that's how I used to shop, and now I'm getting away from it. So
It
it's
is hard.
interesting how.
I will agree with her on that. You know, if you see something that's cute and yeah, but then it's like, no, I gotta stick to my guns. So,
But
yeah.
then it's very rewarding when you get home and you're not like, damn, I have to list this now. Because that's what I would do a lot is you buy it at the store and then you're like, well, I don't want to list this. Where if you're picking at the store, then you're much more like excited about all of the items that you purchased, right?
Yeah. A couple of other things that I saw was that I thought pertained also is that the growth is expected to continue with mobile and social buying continuing to increase significantly. So I think with just all the apps, you know, I mentioned that I'm on and that you're on as well. You know, we've got that covered. And so I think that's really important too, as you're looking to diversify, that mobile and social, you kind of catch that wave of growth. I think that was it. Personalization was also something they mentioned. Service and product personalization are going to be key as customer needs and demands change. And then a lot of retailers are trying to do, more predictive analytics and look for trends ahead of time.
That's so hard right now because things are like constantly changing.
Yeah.
And even from state to state, like my restrictions are different than your guys' restrictions. So it's not even, all the beaches are open, but that's not necessarily the case everywhere, right? And that, which is hard. It makes it hard.
Yeah. And then I have a few things about just kind of apparel, and then I have some things from Rebag. I don't know if you want to kind of go through those. It was kind of interesting.
Tell us what you got.
Yeah. So COVID-19 really exposed a lot of flaws in the supply and demand for retailers. And I think we touched on this at the symposium as well about the excess inventory that's sitting around.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really rethinking the seasonally manufacturing. So, how they would have a resort and a spring and a fall. A lot of designers are rethinking that traditional method and shifting more to on-demand manufacturing. As opposed to sending seasonal requests overseas and hoping that the items will sell months later. And then I did not know this, but overproduction typically runs 30 to 40% each season. So that could it could be, a lot of resellers like to buy overstock lots and things when there is overproduction. If they start to scale back their production or become more just in time, it could really
that can go away.
Potentially hinder the new with tags inventory that we have access to.
And it sounds like they're moving kind of away from that more fast fashion model. And so that would likely mean their prices are going to have to reflect that as well, but then their quality too. And so people aren't going to be buying things every season anymore, which means that they're not, like, it seems like in everything, and maybe not quickly.
Yeah. They said looking to favor a core repeatable base. To seasonality.
So buy lots of black for your closet.
Yes. Somber.
Yes, although I hate photographing black, but that's a good solid base, right?
Yeah. And then the pandemic, this is according to the CEO at Rebag. He said the pandemic will accelerate the resale industry. People are both going to seek to sell and to purchase bargains. They're actually starting a hybrid called Rebag Infinity, and it's going to be a hybrid of rent and resale. So it'll be, if you buy a bag on Rebag, you will get a credit towards a future purchase when you trade that bag in within a year. Yeah, so that was interesting. And then they are also exploring selling excess luxury inventory, which we know Poshmark has already reached out to other brands about selling their excess inventory in their wholesale market. So I thought that was interesting. And they said that the challenge, obviously, of luxury resale and especially bag resale, is that the supply is constrained because you're obviously only selling what people are willing to part with at the time. And so they're really looking to merge first and second hand. How can they accelerate the merger of first and second hand? So that's kind of scary. And that's not the first large company that I've heard that is looking to do that, doing some of this trade in reselling themselves. And I'm talking like high-end luxury type brands, which is genius. Yeah, it's genius for them, especially the high-end brands that you're worried about, is it real or not? Well, if you're buying it from Louis Vuitton, like, I'm pretty sure they're like, it's legit, and you would be much more willing to buy it from them than from someone on, say, eBay, right? Which is also very scary. Well, this is all really sad and depressing. I think there's some positives. So
No, I think it's good to know this. And burying your head in the sand and not paying attention is how you go out of business. So it is good to know. It's just these big brands come in. I can't compete with,
Yeah, which leads into the next piece we were going to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which Walmart announced on May 27th that they're doing a partnership with thredup and launched. It's walmart.com/thredup. And they've got free shipping on orders of $35 and up, which I think thredup itself is like 75. It's pretty high. And then there's no restocking fees, which that's one of my things I hate about thredup is, $2 or $4 for a restocking fee if something doesn't fit. So that's an advantage over, I think, Poshmark.
Oh, so like you can return it is
Yeah.
what? Because I don't do thredup. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So free shipping on 35 and up, and then free returns. No restocking fees. And then it'll be 700 to start, 750,000 new and like new items. So I looked at it. It looks just like thredup. I mean, it's, they're doing all the listing. I don't know. I couldn't really tell. It's hard to tell if there's an item that's on the regular thredup site that's also on the Walmart site, or if they're those 750,000 items they've pulled specifically for
Oh,
Walmart.
exclusive.
I couldn't really tell that.
So is it up? I haven't looked. I saw
Yeah.
the article. It is up and
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
All right, I'll have to go look. What does the inventory look like? Is it like Walmart-y type inventory, or are they doing like higher level?
Yeah, it's I would say, if you're used to thredup or you shop thredup, it's a lot of brands they don't currently have on Walmart. I mean, there's some like mall brands in there, but they had some higher end things. I probably should have wrote down a couple of the things I looked at, but there was some, I wouldn't necessarily say luxury, but maybe higher end, mall, or I think I did see like maybe something Tory Burch or something on there, but
Oh yeah, so that, I mean, I don't think of the Walmart clientele walking around in Tory Burch. I guess is my, like I was talking about, okay, I'm bringing this up. Let me take it back. Because I was talking to my husband about this when I saw the article. And we were talking about like what kind of clientele they're going for. And, Walmart is much about the fast or the cheap, fast fashion. Very much so. You can get a tank top for like $5. So he was like, well, is it even going to be, people that are buying your stuff, like, is that who they're going to be marketing? And it seems like they are marketing a little bit above their normal clientele.
They're trying to introduce brands to the Walmart shop at an attainable price.
Yes.
So by encouraging them to buy resale, they can find things affordable or brands more affordable that they wouldn't otherwise. So I think
which makes sense.
Yeah.
And when they're pairing with thredup, it comes with like thredup's clientele as well, right? And thredup goes all the way up, right? They're not just the
Yeah. thredup had tried like little boutiques within JCPenney stores. I don't know if they've still got that going. I know they had one here at my local store, and I went and checked it out, and it just seemed really odd. It was like this little section kind of tucked in between juniors and jeans, I think. And it was really weird because, they advertised it as, oh, you can get these high-end brands at Penny's, resale.
Oh,
And
yes, right.
there was nothing really there. It was a lot of Banana Republic, which is weird to buy Banana Republic at Penny's. And
especially like our Penny's is at a mall, like
yeah,
down the way from Banana Republic. Like,
oh yeah, no, that's exactly what I thought.
yeah.
And the bags, they were like Kenneth Cole and Steve Madden. And I thought, I can go down the hall and get a comparable brand new bag at Penny's. So I felt that was kind of a fail. So, it could go one
Penny's
or two
has been
Walmart, yeah.
Well, let's hope it's a fail for our perspective, because we can't, I mean, yeah, unless Poshmark wants to start doing free shipping or offer something, if they start to see something, eBay, the shipping comes out of our costs, and that's huge. Jenny Girl's Closet is saying, I took a look at the Walmart selection. There was nothing special or runway there, very basic conservative things, which makes sense. So Jenny Girl's Closet is more of a high-end consignment type seller, so maybe not concerning for her, but for most resellers, from what you said, it sounds like similar to what we like. I get excited for something Tory Burch, and most of my stuff, especially now that I'm doing lower end stuff, is that mall brands, $20 to $30 items. So now I'm competing with Walmart. Okay. So, I mean, what do you see? Do you see this affecting and impacting resellers?
I wouldn't discount it. I think it's got potential to really be a disruptor. I know that everybody's seen the stats. I mean, thredup put a whole thing out there about the growth in the resale industry and how it's going to chip away at retailers. Not necessarily the big box retailers, more those mid mall, the Dillards, the Macy's. Those are the ones that are really going to get cannibalized by resale. But these companies aren't going to want to lose that, right? So they're going to want to get in on it. So this could be the start of many others partnering with companies to have a resale partnership. Let's say it's really successful, and downstream, they have an inventory shortage. Well, do they start partnering with Goodwills? Do they start partnering with B stock or excess inventory that's hitting the market? It could start to cut. Our inventory prices could go up even more. We could have less available. Maybe thredup starts advertising like Poshmark does constantly, and hey, send us your bags, and they only pay 50 cents an item for something that sells for like 10 or 15. So you've got huge margins that we just really couldn't compete with. Well, now let's say you get a thredup credit. Can you also spend it on Walmart's thredup? Well, then can you spend it on Walmart? I think it opens up a lot of doors that it's kind of a wait and see, but I wouldn't discount it as it's not going to affect me. I think it's just the start of something, because the resale market is supposed to grow. I think it's like 50 billion worldwide by 2024. I mean, those are huge numbers. And, the population of who's purchasing, it grows, but it's not growing at that rate, right? So they're cannibalizing traditional retail. And so those traditional retailers are really going to start looking for ways to stop that bleeding. And I think that's just the first step.
Well, and this kind of goes back to the more complex issue, what we're talking about now, but then also going back to the lack of inventory because people aren't overbuying, this 30 to 40%. So there's even less inventory on that side. And then now you have the other side of these Walmart thredups they're making big deals. Those companies are going to make a deal. If you buy 750,000 items, like they're going to get the deal, right? They're not going to be like, oh, like this little person wants 50 items a month. Like, no, you're not going to be able to compete with that. I have something to say on that, but I do want to, Megan is asking, is this going to be in store only? Is it online or is it in the store too?
The Walmart, Penny's was in store.
Yes, right.
Stores. Walmart is actually online. It's www.walmart.com/thredup. So it's already live.
Kind of funny. I just got a Walmart email. They can hear me talking about them. I just pop up. I don't think it's for that, but it's just ironic talking. Yeah. So I don't know if this is, but she's saying many people hate shopping and want to be able to filter the search online, but still used and affordable. So it'll be interesting in how they do it. If they do it successfully, then I think it could be something that we have to keep in mind. As you were talking things, because I'm like, okay, this is what's going on. Instead of being doomsday, I'm going to quit my business and find something else. Like, what do we do with this information? How do we continue to survive? And two things that came to my mind with this new generation and kind of gearing towards the millennials and stuff. They're also big on supporting small businesses, right? And so branding yourself and really making it that experience, not this big corporate America Walmart experience. I mean, nothing wrong with Walmart, but like you're going to have to set yourself apart. And so maybe doing some branding and making it an experience. Hey, I'm a small business owner here. Like the things that you would not get from Walmart could be something possibly that you could be trying. And then also, finding a niche and niching down. First thing that comes to mind to me is vintage. I don't imagine Walmart's going to have a huge, I mean, they might have some vintage, but they're not going to be a curated vintage closet. And people who like vintage will find your closet and they continue to come back. It doesn't have to be vintage, but that's something that I do.
And that's actually a category that's expected to grow. I mean, Manish even mentioned it a couple times in the symposium, and then I think I saw it in an interview he had done. So No, I don't think, I think to your point, it's finding that, and we do it all the time with how many resellers there are, right? You need to find what sets you apart. And, we really have that advantage of the marketing. I think one of the speakers on Instagram said, really take advantage of Instagram right now because it's still free, Facebook and all the different things that we do, Pinterest, you do
YouTube. Yeah.
Podcasts, blogs, all of these things are things that add that personal touch and steer customers to your closet or your platforms, I should say, that Walmart just isn't going to have, and I don't think thredup has either. I have not always been happy with my purchases from thredup.
I've never done thredup. I'm a bad reseller. I need to get into it because I've had people ask me. I'm trying to get someone to come on and talk about thredup. I think I have her lined up because people keep asking me, and I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea how it works. But I have heard that, and I think, Walmart serves a purpose. They're definitely very good at their purpose, but customer service and going above and beyond is not necessarily it, which is not bad, but you have to find things that you can do to combat it. And I think that's absolutely something that we can all do. And to your point about all these free platforms for marketing, it's hard to find the time to do it because it is time consuming, and you're like, well, I'm not getting paid. Like, I don't get paid to be on Instagram. But you have to think about it in the other, like, eventually it will pay off in branding yourself and getting you that brand and people wanting to come and purchase things from you. And it's free. When I was doing upcycling 20 years ago, like, we had MySpace. But that wasn't anything. You can market yourself if you put the time into it. You can market yourself now for free. You don't have to buy ads in a newspaper like you had to do 30 years ago, right? And Megan is also saying, I think these are all really valid points. The thing with online is that they rarely take as many pictures as resellers do. I look at thredup and I'm always disappointed with the amount of photos of the items. So again, that customer service.
Yeah, they only do front and back. My issue with them has been they're not good about pointing out flaws. I'll just give an example. I bought a Anthropologie sweater. I bought it to resell. It had no mention of any flaws. I got it. It had a huge hole in the armpit. Well, I got to send it back and then pay a restocking fee. I'm just like, so it was basically a waste. I just don't think they're very good. And I think resellers are really good about pointing out, flaws and pinpointing things. And that thredup just doesn't do. They only just do the front and back of
and measurements. And so I think that's, even if you don't go down the whole branding issue, people may say, okay, I'm going to go to eBay, I'm going to go to Poshmark because I know I can get 6 photos. I know if I ask them to go take this certain measurement for me, they're going to do it. And they will likely do it quickly if they're a full-time reseller because they work from home and they're excited to get a sale. So Duncan is saying the point is now is the time to list more on eBay because the months before Christmas, fourth quarter should be very busy. You need to get the extra listings up now. That's a very valid point. Work on increasing things. And I hadn't thought about that when you were saying the retail stores were doing that, trying to get everything up for Christmas, online selling.
And I actually wrote some categories down. So, if you're thinking of up on new tag items, of course, athleisure, and we mentioned basics, there could be a push similar to the last recession of basics, family oriented. I think, Poshmark today came out with a whole new list of things that they're allowing, and people are saying games and things are selling. Also, skincare and stuff is now allowed on Poshmark. So,
did Poshmark allow games now? I didn't see that list yet. They're allowing games now?
I think it's on there. I just skimmed it, but
I didn't see it.
Yeah. And then I mentioned people are, booking ahead for vacations. So, swimsuits, flip-flops, hats, tote bags, anything vacation oriented, I think would be something to really try to get into your closet now and then carry that forward into the holiday season. Because as you mentioned, quarantines are being lifted at different times. So we'll be traveling in a staggered manner, I think, over the next few months.
And something, I don't know if it's working or not, but this is my thinking, so I'm going to share it with you. Something that I I don't always buy new with tag just because it's new with tag. If it like sells low, I'm like, well, it still sells low. I have been doing it a bit more because you're getting new people that aren't necessarily aren't used to buying used items. And so I do think having that new with tag can entice them a little bit because they're not feeling like they're buying from a thrift store. Our normal client, customers previous to all of this are fine. Most of them were fine. I had a couple that were like, is this from a thrift store? But I think now you're getting a lot of new people that don't necessarily understand the whole reselling world, and that like, yes, we go to thrift stores and we resell it. And so having things with new tags that I would have passed before, I will pick up now just because you can select that new tag box, right?
I don't know if this is helpful for sourcing, but I also have the fastest growing and declining retail brands year over year. I thought this was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The ones that are growing, Lululemon is up 40%, Target 27%, Amazon 32%, and Walmart 24%. So that, thredup, they got a lot of potential new eyes, as Walmart grows. And then decliners, I thought this was interesting. Under Armour is down 34%. So we mentioned athleisure, but Under Armour down. Well, that's because they sell through Kohl's and stores that have been closed. So something to think about, as you're picking things up, the brands, the top increaser and the top decreaser are both athleisure. And then H&M is down 27%. Burberry is down 18%. North Face is down 14%. And then Uniqlo is down 16%. So H&M and Uniqlo are both fast fashion. So that shift in that trend as well. Now their stores have been closed, but they always had a fairly large online presence.
I wonder what's up with the North Face.
Yeah,
that's
I've seen,
interesting.
I don't think it resales for as much as it used to. It seems that the real shift towards Patagonia as opposed to North Face. And so I think you're starting to see that there.
Yeah, that's interesting. But it is still really good quality, but definitely, Patagonia definitely goes higher and faster, for sure.
Yeah.
So Duncan is saying you have to buy what actually sells, not what you would like to sell. Customers come in for what they want more so than what item you think is cool. And I agree with this, and it's constantly changing. And this was mentioned in the symposium that we had talked about, or maybe it was a Posh and Sip, you brought it up. But I think the Posh Kings mentioned, like, be careful of buying big lots of things because things are changing so quickly right now. You don't want to be stuck with a bunch of stuff that's not going to sell, which also then makes it more complex because it's hard to find sourcing strategies anyway. So a lot of people are buying like pallets, right?
Yeah.
But then you get stuck with that if in a month people are back at work and now they're like, well, I don't need all this athleisure stuff anymore. Like, so maybe just the bottoms, because if people still have Zoom calls, then they'll still wear athleisure on the bottom and blazers on top, right? Isn't that the true thing?
And it's hard, I think that's something that people don't appreciate about resale. A lot of people come in and why isn't my stuff selling? They just throw a bunch of stuff up there. It's difficult to know. Retailers struggle with it too, right? What are people going to want to buy, or what are they wanting now? Versus just things that you like. And I struggled with that for a long time. Once I kind of blew through my own things that I was selling and started sourcing, I have a very unique style in my opinion. And people say I'm hard to buy for. I'm like, I shop for myself all the time. I don't know why you think I'm hard to buy for. Once I realized that shift, it's difficult. So do you pick a niche of, well, you have a boho closet, or knowing that you're not going to attract all the buyers? I think again it goes back to that: are you curated or kind of unlimited? If you're more on the unlimited side, well then yes, you want to make sure you're continually having things that people are buying. If you're more curated, well, you just already expect it to maybe a longer sell, and if you can hold on to it, you hold on to it.
And I think that if you're selling things from your closet and even like maybe a side hustle, you're probably not paying much attention to this. But once you are wanting to make this like a legit part-time job or your full-time job, you have to treat it like a business, and you have to look at these things. You guys probably hear me say it enough, but it's in the numbers. The numbers will tell you this. Like me and Kristinia are not geniuses. Like we just know how to look at numbers and where to pull it from, and how to look at my numbers. I've only been doing this for a year and a half, but I've been successful in doing it because I'm not buying things because sometimes I buy them because they're cute, but I'm buying things because I'm looking at the numbers to drive it. And you don't have to use the dashboard. eBay has amazing Terapeak data that you have. You can go online and search things. Poshmark is slowly starting to come out with more things that are selling, but doing the research, it's not just about going to a thrift store and finding a Kate Spade purse.
No,
I mean, that's nice, but like
it has to be one somebody wants, right?
yeah.
I mean, well, Poshmark's doing better, I think, with like the showrooms. Those have been helpful because at least those are curated by keywords that people are searching for. So, you know that somebody's looking for black loafers or whatever if they're in a showroom. But yeah, just obviously keeping up on trends and influencers and seeing what people are wearing. There's lots of YouTube videos out there about trends that are coming up. And
Instagrammers. I had someone on my channel a couple months ago talk about following the Insta because they can switch quickly and they are trendsetters now. Some of these big, not even like brands, but some of these influencers, they wear something and that's where the trend's going. It's getting away from, what was worn in Milan on the runway. It's these big influencers.
Yeah, no, it's curating what you see and looking for that when you source. I mean, like tie dye, it's obviously big right now. A lot of people are doing a lot of DIY, doing DIY with like bleaching or painting. A lot of more handmade or customized items are very popular right now. But then on the other end of the spectrum, white Chuck Taylors, Converse are huge right now too. So, any kind of trainer, just a plain white trainer that can be versatile that, people are wearing them with skirts now. I mean, I would have, would not left the house with tennis shoes and a skirt. Is doing it. So,
and Deephop, because you're on Deephop, I'm on there. I have yet to sell anything and I don't pay a lot of attention, but Deephop, from what I've heard, and you can probably walk through how to do this, but they have certain ways that you can look at like their top like where you can see what's trending, right? And that's Deephop is where that's like the fashion, what's selling for the young kids.
Deephop, if you're doing vintage, I would recommend Deephop. It was slow for me to start. I kind of had a bad experience off the bat with their shipping, but I had already listed about 20 things and it wasn't worth trying to get them all off from one bad experience. So I've stuck with it, and a lot of my modeled shots, and I'm only doing vintage items. And I've sold a couple things and there's no like offer button, which is weird. And so they just sell. I mean, literally.
That's how Etsy is too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and both items I sold were $45, and I had them cross posted on Poshmark and no bites. So, I would definitely recommend Deephop. And they have a private messaging, and so you do have a lot of interaction with your buyers. I would recommend using your own shipping though, as opposed to their shipping. Because that's where I had the issue. But it's all through PayPal. So it's kind of, I guess it would be more on the eBay side. You get paid first and then you ship.
So you have a bit more control too.
Yeah.
But I think it's, and I think you mentioned too, Depop's stats, they had a huge increase this year, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's if you haven't been on Depop, and even if you don't list, like go look at it. It's the young people. It's the people that will be driving the resellers. They may not be on eBay yet, and they may never come over to eBay, but these are the people that are driving these trends. And if you want to see what's selling, it's streetwear and vintage is what's Deephop.
It's Y2K, punk, lots of sweatshirts, graphic tees, those horrible, horrible grandma sweatshirts with like ducks. I mean, these girls are buying those. I'm like, okay. You see a grandma sweatshirt in the thrift store. You can, especially with the little collars. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Like the collar, Yeah, I mean, they're going for 30 bucks on Depop. So yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. And especially if you do modeled photos too. Because that's a hard thing with vintage. If you just put a photo of that, it doesn't look cute. But if you like
No.
model it,
Yes.
then it
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah.
Jenny Girl's Closet is saying resellers are the entity that can play the long game and hold on to merchandise. Traditional retailers don't have that model. They must get rid of it. So that's also, I like all the ideas of how we can separate ourselves apart and do the long game for this.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I don't have patience. If you watch my show last night with Chris, he was like, "Why don't you have patience, sir?" I was like, "I don't know. I just wanted to sell. Like, get it out of here so I can get something new in."
Yeah.
I think that yes, we're good. Did you see any stats on Etsy if their sales are up, good, bad? I'm
Oh,
just wondering because you had mentioned like handmade stuff too. I wonder if
yeah.
Etsy has seen a
I did not, I have not ever, in the times I research, I really don't see anything on Etsy. So I don't know if they just don't report.
yeah.
I don't know. Um, but yeah, the handmade crochet, I mean, if you just look at the trends right now, crochet is so like granny square vests, they're buying those. I mean, grandma stuff, I mean, and put
Yeah.
grandma in your
Yes, yes. Grandma and grandpa for sure. Yeah.
a grandma or grandpa cardigan. Those are huge. And
It reminds me of that, and I think of like this is kind of where thrift stores became cool. That song, and now I'm going to sound super lame because I can't. Yeah, who is it? Yes, yeah, because there was a line in it about wearing your grandpa's sweater, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, well, think about it, like the boiler suits, the jumpsuits that are popular right now. I mean, they were popular in the 70s. And,
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of, to ask grandma if you can go through her closet, get some free
Estate
yeah,
sales. Yes, yeah.
to get back together. I mean, I'm sure your aunt or your grandma might have something you can get some big bucks for. But yeah, and
For sure.
Mary Jane's, platforms, wedges,
A lot
there,
of like the 90s, like so I was,
yes,
middle
90s.
school, high school in the 90s, and I'm like, that's my husband's asked me, like, how do you know what sells? I'm like, well, if I would have worn it in high school, or if I would have wanted to wear it, like I wasn't always cool in high school, but I'm like, if like that was the style I saw the cool kids wearing, yeah, that's what's selling.
Yeah.
Um, except for men's, because he's like, well, I wear cargo pants, and I was like, well, I don't really think those were like cool in the 90s either, dude. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
we are hitting that 7 hour mark, and I do like to be cognizant of everybody's time. So if you do have any specific questions for Kristinia, definitely feel free to ask in the chat, or if you're watching this in the recording, you can leave a comment down below, or are you okay if people send you a DM? That's your Instagram name, right? Yeah.
Yep. Kitten B
Um,
Boutique.
yeah, so she is on Instagram. You can ask her questions, or if you have questions down here, you can ask as well. This was very informative. I'm glad that I had you on. It's always good to know what is happening so that we can adjust appropriately, and lots of great tips in the comments as well. So thank you everyone for joining. Make sure to hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you like content like this, and hit the notifications so you get notified of content that is being released. So I hope everyone has a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.